Hi, everyone. Welcome to Snapshots, a physical education standards implementation video series created through a partnership with the Minnesota Department of Education, MnShape, and Mde. I'm Mary Thyssen-Milder, and I serve as the State Physical Education Specialist at the Minnesota Department of Education. The 2018 Minnesota Academic Standards in Physical Education were developed by physical educators from across the state. The Minnesota Department of Education facilitated that process and then formed a physical education standards leadership team made up of the co-chairs of the MDE Physical Education Standards Development Team, executive board members of the Minnesota Society of Health and Physical Education, or MnShape, leaders in adaptive physical education representing Mde, and the representatives of higher education. This leadership team designed a 3-year implementation assistance plan to support Minnesota physical educators as they plan for implementation of the standards in the 2021 to 22 school year. The focus for this first year was to get to know the standards by breaking them down by individual standard and benchmark, reviewing the academic language and learning progressions within them, and then deconstructing and building bundles. In 2019, we were in the middle of the second year of professional development when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and that put a dramatic pause on the training plan. We are now 22 months later. The COVID-19 pandemic has delayed the implementation of the 2018 Academic Standards of Physical Education until the 2023 to 24 school year. Our plan is to continue with the Year 2 Professional Development Series. However, it's clear to us that the pandemic has impacted our teaching dramatically and that refreshers in the foundational topics we covered in Year 1 may be needed. As a result, this video series was created to provide a short snapshot of them. It's the intention of each video to be a short, concise review and be available for a teacher online at any time that's convenient on either the MDE or MnShape websites. A teacher may watch them in order or go directly to a desired topic. They can be viewed individually or on teacher teams. This slide identifies the videos available. A short introduction to this series provides an overview. Then we begin with personalizing the standards, which is broken down into 3 short videos that review the importance of standards, introduces the new Minnesota Physical Education Standards, and breaks the standards down one by one. Videos on academic language, learning progressions, deconstructing benchmarks, and bundling benchmarks are also available. This video is part 3 of the Personalizing the Standards section and introduces the standards one by one. The following are the objectives of this presentation. We will identify the 5 state standards in Minnesota 2018 Academic Standards in Physical Education and explore each standard so all teachers have a shared understanding of the intent of each one. The MDE Standards Development Committee adopted the standards from Shape America as they were written. These 5 standards establish the overall goals for student learning and are repeated from kindergarten through grade 12. Standard 1 is our motor skill development standard. Standard 2 is the application of knowledge to movement and performance. The focus on Standard 3 is demonstrating the knowledge and skills in maintaining health-enhancing levels of physical activity and fitness. Standard 4 is about exhibiting responsible personal and social behavior. And Standard 5 is for students to recognize the value of physical activity for health, enjoyment, challenge, self-expression, and social interaction. Now let's break it down and look at each standard. Just a quick reminder of the formatting of the physical education standards. They are designed in grade bands of kindergarten through grade 5, grade 6 through 8, and high school learning progressions. A 4-digit code is utilized to define all standards and benchmarks. The emphasis of this presentation is the focus areas for each standard. Focus areas help group benchmarks by related concepts. In this slide, you can see focus areas are are represented in the second column. Standard 1 requires a student to be able to demonstrate competency in a variety of motor skills and movement patterns. If someone would ask you as a Minnesota physical educator, what does this mean? What would you say? One answer is that Standard 1 emphasizes the development of fundamental motor skills. And another question, since physical education standards are the same from kindergarten through high school, do the motor skills and movement patterns become more complex as a student increase in grade levels? The answer is yes. The fundamental motor skills at the elementary level form the building blocks for gameplay and physical activity and fitness activities that follow in middle and high school. In Standard 1, motor skills are developed primarily at the elementary level. The focus areas for Standard 1 include locomotor skills, for example, galloping, hopping, jumping, leaping, running, skipping, and sliding. Non-locomotor skills that include skills such as balancing, transferring weight, bending, curling, extending, swinging, swaying, pushing, pulling, and twisting, and manipulative skills, which include skills such as underhand and overhand throwing, catching, dribbling with the hands or feet, kicking, volleying, or striking. Then in later elementary through high school, we are taking those fundamental skills and creating activity-specific skills to accomplish more complex movements. In middle and high school, this standard identifies activity categories which identify all kinds of opportunities for students to apply their specialized skills. Examples of game categories include aquatics, dance and rhythms, fielding and striking games, net and wall games, target games, lifetime activities, and outdoor pursuits. The ultimate goal of Standard 1 is that students are able to demonstrate competency in motor skills and movement patterns in those activities. This slide provides examples of Standard 1 benchmarks from kindergarten through high school. Now let's look at Standard 2. A student will apply knowledge of concepts, principles, strategies, and tactics related to movement and performance. Standard 2 only has one focus area: movement concepts, principles, and knowledge. The Standards Committee grounded our benchmark adaptation with a motor development foundation. If you are an elementary physical educator, you are probably familiar with George Graham's movement wheel shown in this slide. The movement framework is grounded in a comprehensive framework of human movement. The major concepts include the body, effort, space awareness, and relationships. The body aspect focuses on what the body is doing. Students become skillful in locomotor, non-locomotor, and manipulative skills. The effort aspect has the focus on how the body is movement. Here, the learner develops the ability to use time, for example, fast or slow, weight, for example, strong or light, flow, for example, free or bound, and space, for example, straight or flexible, to improve the quality of movement. In the space aspect, the focus is on where the body is moving. The learner develops skill in the use of personal and general space and competency in moving in varied directions on different pathways through varied levels, planes, and extensions. Finally, relationships has the focus on with whom or with what the body is relating as it moves. This aspect helps students develop awareness and skill in how body parts relate to one another when moving and how the mover relates to individuals, groups, apparatus, objects, and other factors such as rhythm, music, boundaries, and rules. Movement concepts are applied to performance of the fundamental movement skills. Movement concepts are the precursors to movement tactics. Movement concepts allow the learner to modify and add depth and richness to movement. Movement concepts include space awareness, effort awareness, and relationship awareness. The focus of space awareness is on personal and general space, pathways, levels, directions, extensions, and other concepts such as size and shape. The focus of effort awareness is in the concepts of speed, force, or flow. And relationship awareness is about positional relationship to others and objects. For example, near or far, next to, around, under, over, on, or off. Movement tactics are movement decisions based on characteristics of the physical activity situation. Tactical decisions are performed in response to stimuli in the environment. Examples of tactics include offensive and defensive tactics used in invasion games, net and wall games, and fielding and striking games. They also include distance, force, and direction tactics used in target games, net and wall games, as well as applications to individual performance activities and outdoor pursuits. A clear demonstration of how a tactic can transfer is to look at the skill of running. Running in different pathways leads into offensive skills, such as running a route in an invasion game. This slide shows more sample benchmarks for Standard 2. Note the complexity of body, effort, space awareness, and relationships. Shifting our attention to Standard 3, a student will demonstrate the knowledge and skills to achieve and maintain a health-enhancing level of physical activity and fitness. Standard 3 has 6 focus areas: physical activity knowledge, engages in physical activity, fitness knowledge, assessment and planning, nutrition, and stress management. This slide addresses the focus area of physical activity knowledge. They include the concepts of being physically active, physical activity recommendations, and ways to be physically active outside physical education class. This slide also includes examples of benchmarks in this focus area. The second focus area is the engagement in physical activity. Benchmarks address active participation in physical activity. For example, with and without teacher prompting during class. As students age and selections for activities increase, actively participating in multiple physical activities and then actively participating using technology or media. Here are some examples of benchmarks for engaging in physical activity. The third focus area in Standard 3 is the physical fitness knowledge. The elementary level focuses on the knowledge of basic heart fitness and the FIT principle, frequency, intensity, time, and type, and to cardiorespiratory fitness, basic muscular fitness, and to muscular endurance, muscular strength, and flexibility. The secondary level focus is on the knowledge of the basic skills of skill-related fitness and types of stretching, such as dynamic and static, the training principles of overload and specificity, applying warm-up and cool-down, learning about heart rate, such as heart rate zones, monitoring and application, and the muscular system to identify muscles and how they work. As students gain the knowledge, they can apply them to their daily activities. Here are some examples of physical fitness knowledge benchmarks. The fourth focus area is assessment and planning. It starts in 3rd grade with the health-related fitness components of cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular strength, and flexibility. Fitness assessment and good health recommendations. The secondary level's focus is on the use of SMART goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely to develop activity programs and application, maintaining activity and nutrition logs, and reflecting on outcomes, behavior modification plans and application, and fitness program design appropriate for a college career setting. Here are some examples of assessment and planning benchmarks. The 5th and 6th focus areas in Standard 3 are nutrition and stress management. The elementary level focus is on food as an energy source, foods to eat often, some of the time, and in moderation, foods for before and after physical activity, hydration, and food choices relative to physical activity and personal health. The secondary level focus is on food group examples, serving and portion sizes, strategies for balancing food, snacks, and water intake, the relationship of poor nutrition and health risk factors, and the design of a nutrition plan appropriate for college career setting. Stress management starts in grade 6. The initial benchmarks ask students to determine potential causes and negative effects of stress on health, identify strategies for dealing with stress, and to link stress management strategies to health. Here are some examples of the 5th and 6th focus areas in Standard 3 in nutrition and stress management. Moving on to Standard 4, a student will exhibit responsible personal and social behavior that respects self and others. There are 5 focus areas for Standard 4: personal responsibility, feedback, working with others, rules and etiquette, and safety. Personal responsibility means taking care of me, my stuff, and myself. Feedback includes behaviors associated with using feedback, accepting corrective feedback, implementing feedback, giving and receiving feedback. Working with others is about sharing my space and my stuff and cooperation. Another focus area for Standard 4 is rules and etiquette that are specific to various physical activities and the situations which start in 3rd grade. And finally, safety, which is about moving safely and using equipment safely during various physical activity situations. It's important to note that Standard 4 is beyond behaving and trying or complying. Just like it's our responsibility to teach students motor skills, we need to teach them social emotional skills and help them learn to monitor self-behaviors. Social emotional learning competencies are built into Standard 4. This slide portrays the Minnesota Department of Education's core social emotional competencies, which include relationship skills, self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and responsible decision-making. In physical education, relationship skills involve communicating clearly, actively listening, resisting inappropriate social pressure, and negotiating conflict constructively in group activities. In physical education, example of how the competency of self-awareness is recognizing how emotions influence attitudes during gameplay. An example of the social awareness competency is that students cooperate and problem solve with classmates during team play. A self-management competency example for physical education is managing stress, controlling impulses, motivating oneself during physical activity. And an example of physical education for the responsible decision-making competency is students consider ethical standards, safety concerns, social norms, and well-being of self and others. Here are a few crosswalk examples for Standard 4 in which students exhibit responsible personal and social behavior that respects self and others with the social emotional learning core competencies and related skills in the social awareness focus area. 7th graders accept differences among classmates in physical development, maturation, and varying skill levels by providing encouragement. This is an SEL-related skill for appreciating diversity. 8th graders cooperate and problem solve with classmates in large group initiatives or gameplay, and 9th graders exhibit proper etiquette, respect for others, and teamwork while engaging in physical activity or social dance. Both of these benchmarks fall under the SEL-related skill of respect for others. There are many more examples of social emotional learning concepts integrated into Standard 4. I would encourage you to walk through all of Standard 4 benchmarks and identify that alignment. Finally, let's explore Standard 5, students will recognize the value of physical activity for health, enjoyment, challenge, self-expression, and social interaction. There are 5 focus areas for Standard 5. They include challenge, health, enjoyment, self-expression, and social interaction. Questions for students around Standard 5 include, why do I engage in physical activity? And what makes physical activity important to me? It's critical to note that Standard 5 is very different from Standards 1 through 4. Standard 5 is actually the outcome of Standards 1 through 4. Standard 5 relies on students' movement skill competency and knowledge and is impacted by student fitness levels, which rely on students' physical activity engagement. This brings us back to movement skill competency and knowledge. This slide identifies a few Standard 5 benchmarks. I want to remind you about a resource for overall standard development, the Mde Standards Portal. This portal was created by members of the Mde Academic Standards team to assist schools as they go through this complicated process of building standards-based systems. Concepts from the portal are integrated into the physical education professional development trainings. Please utilize this as a resource for yourself and school teams as you go through the standards implementation and review processes. This completes our walkthrough of each of the 2018 Minnesota Academic Standards in Physical Education. The emphasis of this video was put part of the Personalizing the Standards section, focusing on walking through the standards one by one. Once again, the intention of this series is to provide refreshers for the professional development topics covered in the first year of standard implementation trainings. Special thanks to the members of the Mde Physical Education Leadership Team on the development of the content and for the continued guidance in supporting quality physical education in Minnesota. For more information on professional development opportunities, stay tuned to the Mde Physical Education webpage or the MnShape website.